What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Edison Club podcast. I'm your host, Mike, joined by co-host and team co-captain Justin Morgan. Thanks for sitting down here with me tonight. We actually wanted to do this episode quite some time ago, but we wanted to kind of do like a 2023 Edison year-end review, kind of talk about some tournaments we went to, things that we learned over the course of the last year, and kind of just where we're at now and where we see ourselves in the future. So I guess we'll kind of just start with about a year ago. We went to a tournament in Philadelphia, the PS5 tournament. Would you say that was like the first kind of like quote unquote big scale tournament we ever went to for Edison?
Yeah, it was the first one for us, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it was just like the first big scale Edison tournament overall. I think that's why
Yeah, I
like
think
the
so
the
too.
attendance was so high. Because looking back at it, like it was over 100 people, and I think a PS5 tournament will do good now to get 50. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I think so too. And there
so
were there were big name players there too.
yeah, very big. Steve Silverman, Fraser Smith, Sean McCabe. I
Cairo.
mean, like, yeah, all kinds of like legit old school players from like back in the day, and like a lot of like I want to say like competitive online players. Like you have both communities coming together, and because like there's a big difference I think in like modern Edison players as opposed to like legit like old school players, right? Like
Yeah, definitely.
um, yeah, like you have people like Cairo and stuff that like are really known for like their online presence, and that didn't necessarily play like a lot of in person. Like I think he said on one of his Fraser's podcasts, like just like travel issues and things like that back in the day. But
Right.
like just those two communities coming together, it was insane, dude.
Yeah, that was it was a really crazy PS5 event. We tested and we thought we were going to do so well at this event. We had a guy named Jacob go with us. Jacob got top 8 at the first Ultimate Time Wizard in Raleigh. Shout outs to him. And it was really funny because we met this guy at a really small tournament. They came up, his locals is the side deck in South Carolina, and he wanted to go with us. And we're like, sweet, cool. And I pick up Jacob that morning. I've met him one time. I've talked to him that one time. And I was like, man, this is going to be so awkward. Like a 1.5 hour car ride to Justin's house. And it really wasn't. Like, we really hit it off really quickly. I guess that's just like the magic of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like, even when you don't have a lot in common, you can still kind of like break the ice and have something to talk about.
Yeah,
So after we met up with our other teammate Cole and obviously Justin here, we got going and we had a really good time. Honestly, like he was just basically one of our boys, and we had only known him for just 24 hours at that point, and we had a lot of fun. We did a podcast in the hotel room the night before. I think we did a live podcast in the hotel room, and we went to the tournament itself the next day. We went in pretty confident, and I don't remember how you did in that event, but I remember how I did in that event, and it was not good. I went 0 and 5 at that event. I
so
didn't win a single match.
I think I quit. I was like X2, and I dropped. It was like I think it was like the fourth round. Maybe I was X2 and I dropped, but I played in the side event and I actually won the side event. So
I remember that. I remember
yeah, I
that.
played.
Did you play Swedish Black Wings at that event?
Yeah, so so like for the PS5 tournament, I took Hero Beat, and actually no, okay, so I took Hero Beat with the intention of playing it, and because I topped the first cash event at BBG with it. And I got there and I started looking at their singles, and I was like, dude, I really want to make max rarity like reasoning gate for goat. And so I sold my hero beat because I had max rarity black links at the time. And I was like, oh, I still got an Edison deck. It's no big deal. Is that I've not been testing with black wings any. Not that it's like a difficult deck to play, but I've been like doing so good with heroes. And so I scrubbed out with black wings. Like my first two matches were mirror matches, and like it's just really in that match, whoever sees Whirlwind first, right? And like
Yep, it's pretty
Yeah,
unhinged.
yeah, and Sirocco, like like you summon Shura, set Icarus whatever pass, they summon like Sirocco pump, like you just really can't do anything. And so I took it to the side of it. It was like for a box, which is crazy because like I do really good in those events, and like I pull crazy cards from the box. So like I think I forget what set it was, but I actually played the mirror match, and the last round, the dude like Stardust Dragon, and he forgot to like he just didn't summon it back on end phase. I'm not going to remind him; it's optional. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, it's 100%
So
optional.
yeah, so like I'm not going to remind the dude. Ended up like top decking Shura for game, so ended up getting the box, and I pulled like the $70 secret rare, like one of the planets for Kashtira, and ended up trading in for store credit and getting a really cool deck box. So it wasn't for naught. I think the trip itself was like just so much fun, just hanging out with you guys and going to an event that large after being shut down for 3 or 2 years. You know.
Yeah, I think that was the first event like that that I had really been to since
Well,
the pandemic.
well, we went to Charlotte in 2022, but we hadn't
Oh
like
yeah,
really,
yeah.
yeah, we
I
hadn't really.
forget that was when we kind of really started playing.
Yeah, but we haven't been into like Edison at the point. I remember in Charlotte we were actually playing Edison for funsies, like at the table. Like nobody else was really
Yeah,
giving a crap about Edison, and me and you were like the only two people that I knew that actually had Edison decks put together.
yeah. I think you got me into Edison. Is that right, or did we kind of
Yeah.
just
So
both kind of get into it?
so I was sitting on the couch one day, and I don't remember where I seen it, but I was like, dude, you know what? Like I'm just really bummed out in advance right now. Like I think, oh gosh, it might have been like Sword Soul with like the that worm that like just shuts you out of like using my
Arch
monster
Nemesis
effect.
Protos.
Yeah, so like I was like, man, I really want to play past formats, and I was like, dude, I finally remember like the early Synchro era, you know. And I was like, okay, so it's like Edison's the thing. Like I was playing Goat for a little bit, and I actually had a Goat deck, and I saw Edison was picking up like some popularity on the online community. So I was like, you know what? I can pick up Light Sworns for like $100. So I picked up Light Sworn. I told you about it, and you got interested in Light Sworn. I picked up Blackwing, and then you got Light Sworn for me, and it was just all uphill from there.
Yeah, I remember the day you told me you were like, I'm gonna get rid of Lightsworn, and I was like, oh man, I want it, but I can't afford it. And you gave me like a really good deal, as you do on most things. And I have that deck ever since then. I haven't gotten rid of anything in it. I mean, everything I have, besides what I've bought and added to it, is still the same stuff that I got from you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the rest was kind of just history from there. And that was basically I just decided to just hard commit to Lightsworn, and I played a few things here and there. I tried playing like Dark Calling, Rock Heroes, and Frog Monarch, and like Hero Frogs, but I've always just ended up going back to Lightsworn.
Yeah, it's nice when you find that deck you resonate with. Like I can't count how many times I've bought heroes. Like I know for Edison specifically, like twice max rarity. This is my second time, and then like one time before that, like mid max. And it's just a deck that like I've grown to love, and I'm like, you know what? Like I've played this deck the most. I think I'm best with this deck, and like not the best player with the deck, but like that's the deck I play with the best. And so it's nice that we have our own decks, and we sort of stuck with those. Like you like Lightstorm pretty much nonstop. I know you've done some experimental stuff and like with frogs and things like that here and there, but you've always went back to Lightstorm. Um, but yeah, that event was really nice because we got to meet like a lot of players we looked up to. We got some like really good. I think that's when we started playing against like the really good players in the community. Um,
Yeah, I
for,
think so too.
yeah, and we made a new friend in Jacob who like just naturally got along with us so well. Like it was just good chemistry. It wasn't like any awkward trips or anything like that. I remember we shot the episode of the podcast in the hotel room with Jacob on it, which was pretty cool. Um, but like I don't remember the tournament as much as I just remember like the restaurants we went to, just hanging out with everybody and having a good time.
Yeah, I remember that too. It was just so much fun, and now Jacob's just kind of part of our little clique that we have. We don't really he's not on Facebook, and that's where we talk for the most part. So we don't really communicate with him a lot. But every now and again, I'll just kind of think of him, and I'll text him and see what he's doing, what he's up to, and we almost always see him at most of the bigger events that we go to.
Yeah, I remember parking at the car shop and then like afraid I was gonna get towed because we went to Popeyes.
Yeah, yeah,
So funny story for those listening. So we went there and they were having a Trap Tricks structure deck like tournament, and they posted on Facebook that like the structure deck match got like postponed or delayed because of the mail or something. And so the first thing I did, I was like, watch this, guys. So I go in there and I'm like, dude, I'm so stoked for this Trap Tricks tournament. Like, we drove 7 hours to get here. And the dude's face behind the counter, man, his soul left his body.
He did, dude. He turned pale white. He was. Oh my god. He was like that meme TikTok. It's like it might seem crazy what I'm about to say.
this man was about to probably give me like a third of his share of the company. Like, it was like,
Yeah, yeah, because we started that off by saying like, oh yeah, we drove up from North Carolina for the Trap Tricks structure tournament,
yeah. And
and
it's like
he was like, you what?
his soul left his body, man. And we were
It
like, no, we're
did,
just
it
messing.
did. They had a lot of really cool singles. I remember I
Dude,
got French Secret Honest from them.
yes. Yes, and I got Ghost Rare, which we ended up like swapping us. I forget what the interaction. Maybe I got the secrets and traded them to you. I don't really remember,
I don't remember. Somehow I ended up with Secrets, and you got
but
something else. I
yeah,
don't remember.
I got. I remember I walked away with like one or two Ultra Chaos Sorcerers from Turbo Pack, which is really nice.
I remember
And
what it
then
was. I had like heavily played secrets, and I wanted
yeah,
ones that weren't so played. So like I traded you the heavy played towards like cash to get the lightly played like French ones.
yeah,
That's what it was. Yeah, and
yeah.
I actually ended up getting rid of those probably 6 months later to get ghost rares that I actually never liked as much as the secrets after I had them for a while. I really missed the secrets. And now I have collector's rare, and I think it's my favorite out of the two, out of the three.
Yeah, I recently just upgraded some stuff myself, and I plan on like not getting rid of it. You got to make sure I don't because it's a
Yeah,
pretty good investment.
you have. Your mail days lately have been insane. You have gotten some really crazy stuff in the mail lately.
Yeah, I think what worries me the most, I talked about a card shop. I'm not going to say the names because they rectified it, but like I got to Ulti Dualities and they like it said shipped without tracking. I'm like, no, please don't. Like
Yeah,
one of two things is going to happen. Like I get it and everything's good in their ultis, or they didn't put tracking because they shipped me supers.
yeah, they ship you
No.
supers. Or worse, like they didn't put tracking. You actually just flat out don't get them. And then you're like,
Yeah,
hey, I didn't get these. And they're like, yes, you did. You're just lying. And I
yeah.
can't believe that someone would ship. Like, how much?
So
Those are probably like $100 a piece, right? They have to be close to that.
yeah, so they actually sent me a private message with the tracking number.
Okay, nice. Well,
And
good.
then they actually updated the order with the tracking number, so everything like
Good.
is good. Yeah,
Good.
but yeah,
I've ordered stuff like that before, and I can't remember what it was. I think it was a secret Judgment Dragon, and it was some money, and they didn't put tracking on it, and I'm just like, bruh, like you have put so much faith in the United States Postal Service, like. I'm
yeah.
not. I'm not even mailing somebody like a birthday card without tracking on it.
I don't even trust tracking anymore. I remember I ordered two Ulti Armor Masters. Gosh, this just had to be almost a year ago, and they literally made it to Roanoke, which is an hour from where I live, and they've been stuck there since. And the carrier said, "Oh, they probably got to the bottom of the bin, and they keep adding mail on top of it. They'll eventually get to the bottom at some point." Well, it's been a year, and the dude whoever's working there like has overworked or something because he's not getting to it. But they refunded me. But I always wonder like, what if I just randomly get in the mail one day and I plus like
You
$200?
you will eventually because like this happened to me. So at one point, I really wanted to play Shadal Trains. This was like after Construct had gotten banned, and it was like rank tens, like Shekig Naga and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Well, I ordered that whole deck like max rarity, ulti Shekig Nagas, which at this time Shadal wasn't really that expensive because it wasn't really a meta deck anymore. But I ordered all of that stuff, and I never got it, and I got a refund. 6 months later, at this point, I'm on to a different deck. I get home, and my mom's like, "Hey, you got cards today?" And I was like, "Oh, I haven't ordered anything." And I got it. It was from Troll and Toad because that's where I always used to order from. This envelope was destroyed. It had water damage on it. It looked like it had been in the bottom of a bin or something for forever. And the cards were actually in really good shape. And I actually emailed Troll and Toad back and was like, "Hey, I got this order. do I need to pay for it? And they were like, no, that's really nice of you to be honest. You're good. Because I was actually okay with sending them the money for it because I just didn't want to feel the guilt from it. And yeah, I ended up keeping it, and it was like 6 or 7 months after they had refunded me that I got it in the mail.
It's insane, dude. Like you just can't. I would much rather prefer like get things off like people local, like
Me
locally.
too. If I can
But
get it off of someone or from a shop, I hate ordering cards, especially like there was a time period where when I lived in my apartment, if I ordered cards, I didn't get anything I ordered. If I ordered from a Gold Star seller, 10,000 sales, didn't get it. This probably went on for like 5 or 6 months. I'm sure that there are a lot of TCG stores that actually had me blocked because they thought I was just scamming them, and I really wasn't.
oh,
And
dude,
my theory is like that someone knew me and knew I was ordering cards that worked for the postal service and was just keeping
I,
them because it was everything I ordered. I just never got.
I think what ticks me off too is like you'll get shops that are like that, no big name shops. I don't want to say a name or anything, just in case But there's a really big shop on TCG Player that like it was like a $5 order. I didn't get my order. They was like really polite about it, refunded me, then blocked me. And anytime I look up a card and they have it in stock, it still lists them as having it and add it to my cart. But when I go to check out, it says sorry, the seller has blocked you. And a lot of times, like I want to find a seller that has three copies of a card I need,
Yeah.
and it's just cheaper that way. And it irritates me because they always have multiple. It's like today, I'm looking for like the new Ulti droplets and the new Ulti Amperms, just because they look relatively nice and they're cheap. And this shop has like 100 of each, and I go to add it. Sorry, like you've been blocked, and I don't want to have to go through the trouble of making a new account and not be able to use my membership just for a shop that's blocked me. Like,
Yeah.
if you're going to block me over $5, like how many people have you blocked? You know what I mean?
I know. It's crazy. Like this is kind of going off on a tangent here, but I'm going to go on a whole rant. If you post heavily played or damaged cards on your TCG player storefront and you are not posting pictures of them,
Yes.
you are doing your customers a complete disservice. I
Uh,
was going to when I buy cards that I'm going to play with, right? Like these aren't cards that I'm going to put in a vault. I'm not buying near mint first to just sit on. Like if I'm buying a card, I'm okay with it being moderately played. I'm okay with it being heavily played or damaged, depending on just how heavily played or damaged it is. If there's a corner bent, that's fine. But if it looks like you carried it around in your pocket or used it as a Tostito scoop at your Super Bowl party, I'm not okay with that. So
so here's my thing about it too, right? If you're going to post this, and I think it would help people sell cards actually, because a lot of people are deterred from buying damaged cards because there is no picture. But if you show me, so some shops are really strict with their grading. Like today, I got two heavily played Valors, and using the pictures, they could pass as mod played
yes,
easily.
or better,
And yeah,
honestly.
or better. And so you're telling like you're telling me that okay, if you post pictures and they look good, chances are you're going to sell that card as opposed to it just sitting there with a label that is damaged. And I've taken
Exactly,
my
exactly.
chances, and I've taken my chances and ordered damaged cards without pictures. And most of the time they come in and they look really good in the sleeve, and I'm like, dude, you should have posted a picture. Now, if it's like a good card, like a card that like it's like for a good price, and if it looks good, it's a steal. And here's an example. I think it was Gamer's Choice 2 is the store, had two Ultimate Rare Judgment Dragons labeled as damaged. And I contacted the store via email and I said, listen, these are valuable cards, and before I invest in them, would you mind sending me a picture? And they were so cool. They sent me like detailed pictures in my email and everything. And I copped them because like to me, the reason why they were marked damaged is because they had like one little like ink error with it looked like a Sharpie dot, but it was like an ink error.
Yeah.
And you remember those? And
Yep.
I was like, dude, what the heck? And I got them for half the price that like a mod plate would have been, and it was insane. And I got two Ulti JDs for the price of one, in my opinion.
I
And
remember that.
I ended up selling the deck, and I made a profit on the JDs. And it never hurts to reach out and ask. But I think that if people get upset that you ask, like there is no policy. I can't send you a picture of the card. That's BS. Like
Yep. Yep. I'm
the
like,
same, yeah.
I just don't understand. Um, so like, I wanted some Ulti Herald of Purple Lights, and I think that card is just too expensive, you know, for what it is. So there was a seller on TCG that had 3 listed as damaged, and it's a very popular seller. I'm not going to say who it is, but like 50,000 plus sales on TCG. So I email them and I'm like, hey, I'm really interested in these. Would you send me some pictures of them before I buy them? They send me back this email, and hold on, I'll actually read what the email said. Hold on a second. I'm not trying to talk poorly of anyone, but this has like a little bit of spice in here. So I just basically said, hello, I'm inquiring about the damaged Ulti Herald Purple Lights. Could you send me some photos of them so I'm sure of the condition before I buy them? Thank you. And their response was, hello, unfortunately, we do not provide images of individual cards. If you order this product and are unsatisfied for any reason, we will work to resolve it. Okay, so I had this email for 2 or 3 days, and I was trying to decide how I was going to respond to it. And I finally did respond to them, and I said, what are you going to work with me? How are you going to work with me on damaged cards when I complain about them being damaged? You're only going to tell me, I'm sorry, you ordered damaged cards. And I put on here, if you're going to list cards for sale and someone is inquiring about them, you should probably help out the customer so they'll buy the
Well,
sale. I was like, I'll be buying from someone else from now on. Signed, a
anytime,
customer of 10 plus years, because I have
yeah.
bought from them for 10 years and I never will again, because I don't think that's how you run a business and I don't think that's how you treat customers. Like if I
So
went
like,
to that store, if I went and walked into that store and I said, I want to see these, would they not show them to me? You know,
yeah,
like I just have to
okay.
buy them
So
and that's
not
it.
only that, like I sell cards on Facebook, and I tell people it's heavily played. They're like, okay, can you send me a picture of the back? Can you send me a video of the back? Yeah, sure, no
Right,
problem.
right.
Because even though they know, okay, if I say something's heavily played and like they say, okay, I want it, like I'm not gonna throw it in an envelope and say, here you go, like it's damaged now. I don't care what happens to it. The fact
Yeah.
that somebody wants to buy it and they want to like, to me, it wouldn't have taken them 10 minutes to get pictures and email them to you instead of you getting it, not liking it, and then trying to resolve it, which would
It
take
took them
days.
longer to send me the email than it would have to have sent me a photo. And like,
I
who
this
out
way
there is going to buy ulti purple lights? You know,
damaged
like
and
damaged ulti purple lights.
yeah,
However, with all the bad, there does come some good. So on the last episode, I mentioned how Justin had bought me 3 Gravekeeper's Commandants as a wedding gift. Well, the store that posted them, I'll give them a shout out. This is Sully's Abode on TCG Player. I reached out to them. I actually found them on Facebook, and they sent me back pictures within like 5 minutes of every single one, front and back of all of them. And guess what? I bought them. So
dude.
you,
And
if you run a
I want to
TCG
give a
Player
shout out.
store,
Yeah,
you're yeah, Sully's Abode. Buy from them. They are not assholes.
I want to give a shout out to Gamer's Choice too because the Judgment Dragon thing, and then another. It was around the same time. I bought an Ulti Tragoedia and Tragoedia, however you say it. And I bought an Ulti Tragoedia, and it came in the mail. It was in a top loader. This was no father owned. They packaged it well, but the mailman, or who the mail carrier, did not. It was not transported well, and it come in warped. And I think I sent you a picture, and
Yep.
I sent them a picture and was like, "Hey, this is what happened when it came in. I know it's not your fault." And they were pretty much like, "Oh, now it looks damaged," and gave me a partial refund to equate to what
Yeah.
one was cost of damaged. And then, thankfully, my wife was brave enough to take a hair iron, like a straightener, and straighten it out to where you couldn't tell. And guess what? It sold for lightly played.
And that's
But
how we
like,
make money.
it's crazy too. I was so scared when she did it, but like 5 seconds later, here's your card back. But
Yeah.
those guys, there are shops out there that are like they didn't have to do that for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Yeah.
it was like obviously it was the post office, but I think the fact they were like, look, this dude literally just bought 2 Judgment Dragons from us, and he's buying this from us, and I still
Yeah.
buy stuff from them. Like it goes to show that like even if I'm looking for a card and they have it for $1 or two more, I'm going to buy it from them because
Yeah.
just the customer service they showed me, and like I know that like when I'm inquiring about a card, they'll go out of their way to like send me a picture. And that's one thing. Like if the same person keeps asking and they never buy it, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like the fact that like you've been buying them for so long, you have like a good buyer rating, and then like, oh, we don't have the time to do that, but here's a 10-minute long email I'm typing up saying why.
Exactly. Exactly. And then I'd put in that email as well that when I buy cards, I don't really care what the condition is if I'm going to play them as long as they don't look like destroyed. And they were like,
Yeah.
oh well, these won't be for you then. And I was just like, literally send me a picture of them. Like, what is wrong with you? They
Yeah.
acted so belligerent. I was like, every phone has a camera on it. Like, it takes 30 seconds. So I just I won't buy from them anymore. That actually just
We
completely deterred from me from buying from them.
we have got completely off topic.
We have. I was actually about to steer us back in the right direction. We went on a whole ass like 20-minute rant about this, but you know what? It needed to be said. You know,
Okay.
we had to say it.
So
But so we talked about the Philadelphia tournament, and we Justin and I basically went to every tournament throughout the course of last year. Like we missed very few of them,
I think I missed
and
like two Switch tournaments,
yeah, yeah, you
and
didn't
we had
miss
one of those
many.
every month. We had one
I
every
don't
month.
think we never missed a BBG tournament. Like at least not one of the large scale
No,
ones.
no, we haven't. I think I missed like two Switch tournaments just because like we've been having them every month,
Yep.
and it's kind of hard to pinpoint any exact Switch tournaments. I think there are some memorable ones. I think that there was the ones that you streamed, I believe, were really nice.
Yeah.
Um, like the some of the earlier ones we had, I remember there was like a really there was a really like a really good game between you and Prescott, right? Coco Seven. For those who played Duel Book, there
Yeah.
were some really good games there. That was back when we were like not really like we were okay players, but like we were playing against the best players.
Yeah,
And
we're
yeah,
starting to grow, and like playing against those players kind of
yeah.
helped pushed us over the edge. And that was that was the BBG. That was like the first, or let's see, that was like the second 2K that they had there. And I played Pure Light Sworn, and I got third place. I think it was either third or fourth place at that event.
So I've only played in two cash tournaments, and I've judged the rest. So I think I judged that one and like streamed a little bit too. Um, but I think our next big tournament outside of that was actually the Time Wizard tournament, right?
Yeah, that was the biggest one. Nats in Raleigh, the first Ultimate Time Wizard with the giant black rose that Matt Kalinda won the event. That event was really crazy. That was like we went to, so like Raleigh was a whole ass endeavor, right? Like we went there and we went to a tournament, Underworld Games, the night before. And I have this thing, at least for me, where it's like if there's a tournament the day before a big tournament, I never play. And if I do play, I don't play the same deck I'm going to play in the big tournament. And that some people might say that that's like a tactic so people don't know what you're playing. It's actually for no reason other than that if my deck I'm going to play in the big tournament doesn't perform well in that small tournament, I will make very bad last minute decisions with like a very limited pool of knowledge. So like when I test decks or I'm hard committing to a deck or a build, I've played a lot of games with that. A lot of games. I've taken a lot of notes on it. And if I play that in like a little tournament the night before and bomb the tournament, then all of a sudden I'm going to make decisions that are just based around like a four round tournament. And
Yeah.
you can play Black Wings in a 4 round tournament and draw all Kalutes and all Blizzards and not do well and then say, oh, this deck sucks, I'm not playing it anymore. When we know that's just simply just not true.
So like I think that um so for me it's like sort of the opposite. Like I want to play the night before and I want to like first off I want to see what other people are playing, right? And I want to see like what I need to add to the deck or take away from the deck. In my case, it didn't work out because I did bad. I did poorly in both events. I did better at the Underworld game events than I did um, the Nats. And I think what got me the Nats was like I won my round one. It was almost in time, and the dude was really chill about it. Like they called time, and I like had so we were pretty like close on life, but I brain conned. And it was like my main phase when they called time. He's like, just go to battle, you got it. Because I took a drill warrior and just attacked directly with it. And he was like really cool about it and was like, hey, just like you're in battle phase. And I don't know if I should be saying that, but like it was really cool people there. That's what I remember the most. Like just I had a lot of fun with you guys and just like me, once again playing some of the best players. And that's crazy too because like these people that we have been like playing against that were so good were like some of them were not doing so well either.
Right.
And it
Yeah,
was
it's been
like,
kind of a
like
things have
what?
changed a little bit.
It was like, what is this? And something else I noticed about that tournament too is sometimes especially with this format, you can just have those people that don't know how to play the game that are just like are new to the format that just get insanely lucky. I
Yeah.
remember watching you play against the next Saber player, and I think I think you won in time, right?
Okay, so that was you're talking about it at Raleigh, right?
I'm talking about. Am I thinking of two different tournaments? No, I'm thinking the same one. I'm thinking
Yeah,
of
the X
Nats.
Saber one was at the Ultimate Time Wizard in Raleigh.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Okay, well, I'm
Okay,
thinking
okay,
of.
so that was
Yeah.
Ben Burns. If you've ever heard of him before, I don't know if he's won YCSs. I know that he was a pretty well known player for a while. He actually used to go to the locals I would go to in Statesville, North Carolina. So I knew him, or at least I knew of him. He didn't remember me, but we played, and my Light Sworn list was a complete copy of Times Two's list that he had played at, I think it was Merino Valley, because it wasn't Christia Sworn, it was just pure Light Sworn. This was when Glorious Illusion had like first got traction in Graganeth. And we play, and the rulings at that event were rough the first few rounds, to say the least. And, we get paired up. I go to the table. 14 minutes go by. I have no opponent. I call a judge, and he's like, "Oh, we're not doing losses for showing up late." And I was like, "What? That
Yes,
doesn't
I
make
remember
any
that.
sense."
Yeah.
Yeah. So my opponent shows up 15 minutes late. And we play, and I think I win game one. I beat him game one. Game two, we go into time, which was modern time rules. And the only reason that he didn't beat me and we draw was because he made an armory arm and wanted to attach it to a fall troll, but he couldn't do it because he had light imprisoning mirror on the field. So you can't equip armory arm under light mirror because it is a light monster. So I
Yeah.
beat him. That match was really crazy. I always say like I don't like to win in time, but I should have actually won that match without playing a single card anyway because he was 15 minutes late. And then the next round was when they started like giving out game losses and match losses for showing up late. So yeah,
Okay.
that was weird. But I'll go over and say a really quick story about one round. I've said it on the podcast before, but it's been last summer since I told the story. I started actually winning my next few rounds. I lost to a Blackwing player. I get paired up against Hero Beat. We get into game three, or I'm sorry, we get into game two. He beats me game one, and I get him down to 100 life. I have two cards in my deck. I know what they are. I'm like, it's Mirror Force and it's Hamster. And I'm like, I have to draw Mirror Force him, and then draw Hamster and attack for game. Well, I draw Hamster instead of Mirror Force. So I'm like, okay, well, there's no way I can win. So I heard these words in my head, and these words come from Fraser Smith. He said, sometimes you don't have to win, your opponent just has to lose. So I was like, I set this Hamster. The only thing he has on field is an absolute zero. He draws, and he normal summons Spine Gilman. And I was like, oh man, I lose. Until he attacked my Hamster with Spine Gilman, took 100 and lost.
Oh my God. I
So
re
he lost because he was at 100 and attacked into a set Hamster. And then we go to game three and I beat him. And ever since then, I do not scoop. It does not matter how bad it looks. Like there's a difference. Like if I have no cards in hand, nothing on field, one card in deck, and I know it's Necrogard, of course I'll scoop. There's no point. But like sometimes your opponent will just lose the game. Like if had he attacked with AZ instead of Spine Gilman, he wins that game 100%. I have nothing left in my deck.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really think that he was like an idiot or anything. I think that he was just nervous. It was a really long game, and that's a really good story that someone attacked a hamster with Spine Gilman, took 100 and lost. So, but I didn't end up making the top cut at that event. Unfortunately, I had to play against Ernie, who actually won the Ultimate Time Wizard Richmond that I got fourth at. I lost to him. Unfortunately, he's a really good player, but that's basically how Nats went. Yeah, that was a crazy tournament to say the least.
Yeah, I remember I was playing against frogs and I had side decked in Zombie World and I'm like, bro, like I hadn't he was he was playing this like straight up frog monarch, right? And I started in the zombie world because I was playing Diva Hero Zombies and he literally tribute summoned for zombie. What's the
Oh,
zombie
Dark
spirit?
Dust Spirit.
Yeah, Dark Dust Spirit. And I'm like, oh my god. I was like, I had not seen that card literally the first two games. Just for
Yeah.
the trip to come in at the third game. There we go. So
Wow.
it was like kudos to this guy, man, for reading that. That's good for him.
Yeah, that was good for him. That's actually so crazy.
So I guess after that we had some more Switch tournaments. Then we really didn't have anything huge until was it the um the big cash tournament at towards the end of the year, like at the Dorton Center.
Yeah. Besides that, it was just YCS Richmond. It was Richmond,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
then
that's right.
the BBG 5K at the Dorson Center in Raleigh.
The Dorton Arena.
Dorton Arena. Yeah, yeah. That was like the final send off of 2023, and Justin did a really good job head judging that event, and I got fourth place at that event. Our teammate Michael Gammons got top 16. Then our friend Ty also got top 16, and Blake also got top 16 as well. I don't think I forgot
Yeah.
anyone.
So the Edison Club did really good at that
I
tournament
always,
overall.
whenever I tell stories like that, I always end up leaving one person out, and I feel bad when I go back and listen to this again. But yeah,
But
that was we all
so
we all overperformed, honestly.
shout out to BBG because like Diego is such a good host.
Yes,
I
yes, good time to
just
plug.
yeah
If you're not doing anything next weekend, which is the weekend of March the 2nd, PBG is hosting a 1K Edison 3v3 tournament. It's going to be at the Raleigh Fairgrounds. Again, you can head on over to Facebook and
yeah.
find that event. And I'll also I have the link to their Facebook page in the description below if you're listening over on YouTube.
So like we get there early and Ty and I are setting up the tables and Diego like he's just a really good host and everything and remember we spent so much the night before setting everything up for this tournament and we had a really good turnout. Um, it was really cool playing like in a big arena. It gave like a big event feel. I mean, it was a big event, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but I remember there were some questionable. I don't want to really like say it out loud or anything, but it's just there's just examples of like players winning that are like the deck is playing itself right now.
Yes.
Like or like it was just
Yep.
like it was like Destiny or something like that. It's like, oh, you need a Shura right now. Here's a Shura for you. You need a
Yep,
Kalute.
that's how it went. I
Yeah,
lost to
and
the Blackwing player that won the whole thing. I lost to him twice, and I lost to him in Swiss, and I lost to him in Top Cut. And I actually don't think that I could have picked a starting six that would have beaten the way he drew every game that
dude,
we played.
no. So okay, like I don't know the dude. I'll just be straight up. Watching him play in the finals against a frog player, I was like, the frog player's got this hands down. Like Icarus isn't really good in this matchup unless it's like the Duplock, right? Like oppression's really not good. Oppression's not good in this matchup at all, right? Things that the Blackwing player still kept in his deck when he was playing. And I'm watching this dude side out, and he's not like siding in cards that are good against the frog matchup. He's not. To me, like this dude should not be winning this match, but he was just drawing everything he needed exactly when he needed it. Like, I need a heavy. Here's a heavy. It was almost like they was playing Dueling Book,
Yep.
and it was just like I would have put all my money on the frog player, hands down. And it was just like this dude was like set five. Hope you don't have heavy storm, like no solemn or nothing like that. Which we've talked about this before too, but it's just like making risky moves that like a lot of players wouldn't
Just
make.
wouldn't
And
do.
yeah, and it was just like a lot of like unnecessary back row too, things that like it would like okay, like if I'm playing against frogs, like I'm not going to keep in royal oppression, right? Just because
Right.
like you're playing like straight up like you're tribute something Caius all day long and Ryza like it's not a good call. But he was just like he had everything he needed when he needed it. I'm like, there's no way this dude should be winning, and he just like he did. And it was just like no emotion. Like it didn't seem like the dude was thinking through his plays. It was very, and you got on me about this before. It's like play too quick, right? Like this
Yep.
dude will really just like throw down a card, pass turn, throw down a card, pass turn, like no thinking. And the frog player was like taking his time, like thinking through plays, and like played really well. but it's like it was almost like he was playing against Pro Hogan from the end, like legit, like that's the luck.
When I played against him in Top Cut, he beat me game one. He heavied my. I think I had a set glorious or something. He heavied me and then killed me. And then game two, I like gold sarked for heavy on turn one. We go back and forth a little bit. I end up making a thought ruler, running over something because he got me down really low, really fast. And he draws, he summons Sirocco and sets two into knowing that I'm getting Heavy Storm the next turn. So I obviously play Heavy Storm. It hits a D present and he chains a legacy. And the card he drew was Kalute off of the legacy. So like I always thought like had he just set legacy there, that would have been pretty five head because like I'm gonna Heavy Storm it regardless. But just the fact that he like went neg one into a known heavy and still got rewarded, I was so sick, dude.
Dude, that is crazy too. And I just like the only time I'm going to set into a known heavy is if like I think my opponent's really dumb and they think I'm playing Starlight Road or I am playing Starlight Road. Like
Right. Yeah.
that's the only
And
two times. And
I
like
mean, congratulations to him because you need luck to win a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. Like you have to. But it's
well,
it
this goes back.
was very
Yeah,
infuriating to play
this
against,
goes back
nonetheless.
to things that other players that we know really well have said on their podcast is that decks like Blackwing you can give to a new player and they can pick it up and they can do well with the deck because the deck plays itself. Like
Yeah.
it does it like there of course there are lines of play and decision making skills that require like I think a really good player to make in certain parts of the game, but for the most part like you got Whirlwind, you know what to do, right? Like the deck plays itself.
Yeah, it's pretty
And
self-explanatory.
this is one of those examples that a deck can take you to the end if it's your day.
If it's your day. Yep, absolutely. Yep.
So
But I was okay with getting fourth. You know, I'm still trying to break that fourth place curse, at least in Edison.
it's crazy though, because like you got fourth place at the Ultimate Time Wizard, which I think is actually really, really good because like when you think about it, there's only three other players that like beat you out, right?
Yeah,
And one of
it was
the
Tom
players,
Mack and his damn Neospatian Grand Mole.
yes. So like the dude literally has been to Worlds, right? And I think we're
Yep.
expecting an upcoming podcast with him soon, right?
Yep, this episode that we're filming here will actually go up on the streaming service um, March 1st. The episode with Tom Mack gets uploaded tomorrow, which is the 23rd. We record
Oh,
these
sweet.
a week ahead of time. So if you're listening to this and you haven't listened to last week's episode with Worlds attendee and YCS champion Tom Mack, I definitely recommend that you go check that episode out as well.
So I mean, like I think that like I mean, coming from where we were at this time last year, like we've come a long way. I mean, we both just topped the last cast tournament for Tengu. So like we're taking the skill over into another format, which is completely doable. Um, I think for two
Yes.
formats that are like this close in time frame to each other, but like from where we was a year ago, and it's not just us, like our teammates too. Like have just
Everyone
like
has improved.
yeah improved so much over the course of the past year. It's insane, and I think that like it goes to show like you put in the like so what I like about Time Wizard versus Advanced is like you don't have to travel across the world to play. Like with Advanced, you if you want to be a good player, like you have to go to every event. You have to go to Canada. You have to go to Latin America, right? Like you have to be the Jesse. You have to travel like the Jesse Cottons and the Packs, right? But
Yep.
with playing Edison and Tengu, like literally just up and down the East Coast, and we're playing against the best players. Because in my opinion, I think that North Carolina has the best Edison players in the U.S.
I do
And
too. I think that wholeheartedly.
yeah, and whether that be a mixture of online or IRL, I think the East Coast overall has the best Edison players in the country. Like you got the people up in Philly that play, you got the people, down in Florida, then you got people in North Carolina. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. And you have the
And
New York crew. I'm pretty sure the New
yeah,
York crew is like Ernie, Nick Truden. I'm pretty sure that's how you say his name. Amaryllis guy. He's a big Amaryllis enthusiast. And James Ark. I'm pretty sure they all go to the same local in New York.
yeah. So like when you look online, then like you look in the North Carolina area, you have like or South Carolina, you have like Hydra, you have Cameron, you have us, you have like Sasha Egger, which is really really good. And then
Sasha,
yeah,
Raikoko.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. You have and then GYBU, Zach.
Yeah, I
So
mean, how
so
lucky are we to actually share locals with Raikoko? Like,
yeah,
it's actually so crazy that he's one of the best Edison players, and he just comes to
yeah.
all the
And
locals that we go to.
I hope you don't show up so we can get a Switch Saturday.
I know
Uh,
he'll be in Vegas. I'm not going
that's
to say
right.
who he's teaming up with because I don't know if that's supposed to be a secret or not. But his team is insanely stacked, and they should win that tournament. Honestly, do you know his two teammates?
So I know one, and I don't remember. I think you didn't know the name of the other one. Do you know it now?
Yeah. Yeah, I know
Okay,
it
well
now. I know
you
like this
know.
episode will air after Vegas, but just in case anything changes before then. But yeah, so with how his team is right now and the people on his team, that it's pretty stacked. I think they should run through most of the competition.
I'll tell you what, dude. One of our teammates, Michael Gammons, actually was invited to be a member on a team, and he totally, if you're listening, should have taken him up on that offer.
Yeah.
Because for those that don't know, like Gammons is one of the top GOAT players in the world on Dueling Book. I think he's made it to Worlds on Dueling Book, the Worlds tournaments, like several times. And
Yeah.
so
He's
big
good
shout out
at
to him
every
because he's
format.
yeah, dude, he's topping Tango and Edison like crazy, representing the Edison Club online. So shout outs to him. He was invited to be on a team, couldn't make it, but it goes to show that North Carolina definitely has some good players if someone's willing to pay for your travel and begging you to come play for them in Vegas.
Yeah,
So
we've come a long way in a year, and it's just a year. You know,
yeah,
like you think about Yu-Gi-Oh and how long we've played. I've played my entire life. And you think about like had I advanced as much as in a year, like during that time, oh my gosh, dude. So like the future
dude.
is really bright. I'm really excited for the future, actually.
And you know what's crazy too is like now it just crossed my mind, but like we always go back to advanced format and how like it's just so hard to be a good player in that format because of the allocation of cards, the price of the cards. Like people can say all they want to, like, oh, that doesn't matter. But when they print cards that are the best cards of the format that are $100 plus, like you need those cards to win. No
You
matter how
do.
good of a player, no matter how good of a player you are, you need those cards. You can't tell
Yep.
me that like you give Patrick Hoban, freaking a tier four deck in 2015, and he's going to top all the events. No, he plays the best decks. He plays the best cards because that's what you need to
Yes.
win.
Yep. You
And I
can't. You could
think
not take. You couldn't take Cosmo to a. You couldn't be Patrick
no,
Hoban, right? And take Cosmo to a YCS in Snake Eye Fire King format and expect to
well,
win the event.
no. Like here's another example too. Like right, like you're not going to play a deck without Dark Arm Dragon in 2008, right?
Right.
Like the fact that I think what helps us have we've gotten better is we literally can get all the cards we need, and we never have to change them out. We never
Yep.
have to worry about them leaving. We have the best cards that the format has to offer. So the only thing that we have to work on is just being better players.
Yep.
And we don't have to worry about like formats rotating in and out, learning new decks, learning this and that. We have the best card like brain control. We have our brain controls. We have our our Call the Haunteds or whatever, our
Yes.
trap death shoots. Like the fact that we have all these cards accessible to us and we're that much better makes me wonder like, dude, what if we could have afforded the trips back in the day? What if we could have
Yeah.
afforded those $100 cards back in the day? You know what I mean? Like that just goes
Yeah.
to show, like, dude, like the 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 Konami is like sort of holding players. That's a different rant for a different subject, but I think
Yeah.
that goes hand in it goes to show that like the accessibility of cards goes a long way with helping a player develop.
Yeah. And like over the course of the last year, everyone that we've talked to and gotten advice from, like there are fundamentals of the game that carry over across the entire game, not just like Goat format, Edison, Tengu, Hat, whatever. Like the basic fundamental principles of how to play Yu-Gi-Oh. It's not written in a rule book. It's something that you really just. It's like a just something that you just learn. Something that you would learn from someone with more experience. We didn't know those things. No one had ever told us stuff about like not changing the game state, making your opponent change the game state, and just adapting a competitive mindset over the course of the past year has put me in a place where if I really wanted to do one last run of advanced format, and like really throw money at it and really throw time into it, I truthfully believe that I could do very well at it because now I just know I know what it takes to do well at that. And it's something like if I were to get back into advanced format today, I would do coaching sessions, with all the best players as often as I could, and I would probably set a goal for myself to play X number of matches on Dueling Book every single day and take notes before, after, and during every single matchup of why I won, why I lost, what cards were good and what cards weren't. And it would be like that every single day because I really truthfully think that that's what it takes to be good, at
Yeah.
least at advanced. Obviously in a time wizard format, you're not rushing for time as much because there's no list that's going to come hammer your deck or a new set that's going to come out and completely change the meta. But I think that's what it takes to really get there with advanced is just it's a lot of time, a lot of commitment, which it's the same with time wizard as well though.
Yeah.
But and I think that kind of goes for anyone. Like people will say like, "Oh, I can't get there. I can't win because like this guy's just naturally good." And I mean, you can be even better just by putting in the hard work. And the last like we're at 51 minutes, and I like to keep these around an hour. The last like 10 minutes or so of this, I kind of just want to go over and just kind of give thanks and give shout outs to everyone that's kind of helped us get to where we are. Can you think of anyone off the top of your head?
I think that like first off, like, and it's going to sound like we worship this dude, but like Fraser Smith has just been a big help to us. I remember one of our first interactions was pretty much like I did poorly with the Blackwing deck at the PS5 tournament. He was like, "It's not the deck, it's you." And I mean, it was funny at the time, and it was like
Yeah,
a inside joke, but like with the group. But like the truth is, it's true.
it
Like
is
I have
true. I've
I have
never
went through
heard
that deck.
something
Yeah,
that's more true than that. Like, and I know it kind of stung in the moment because it would have stung for me too. But when you really think about it, it really is true.
yeah, and like going back and like thinking about it, like like, it's definitely true, and I didn't take it like I've never been the type of person to take criticism like in a negative way. I've always taken it like, okay, well, thanks for the info. Now I'm gonna use that info and turn myself around, and I'm gonna beat you next time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
whatever. So whereas I felt like this dude was like, I'm like a two on the scale, and he's like a 10. I feel like it's more like a 10 and a 7 or a 10 and a 8. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm
Right.
taking that information. Because he gives out free information on podcasts, and he's talked about this before too. Like people want to charge 60, $70 an hour to coach you, and I think that's ridiculous. Because I'm not going to pay that much money for you to show me combo tutorials or whatever, like on YouTube and
Right.
find. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I can learn just as much by watching feature matches. Like, I learn a lot from watching feature matches, like from past YCS and stuff. I
Hmm.
learn a ton. Um, but the fact that like this info he's giving out is free, and it literally costs a subscription on YouTube or the podcast or whatever. But he's become like every time we see each other at tournaments, hey, how you doing, kind of thing. They know us by name. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
it's really
it's
cool.
cool too. Yeah, and he's been a guest on the podcast, and you've been on his channel before too, and everything. And it's just like the recognition that like this, like in your case, the fourth place, light score, and he featured it like on his channel, like you playing with him, like that just goes to show that like he acknowledges you, like, hey, this is one of the best players in this format. But um, him definitely the North Carolina crew, like just Cameron, everybody, like, and it's Team Rod overall, just in general, because all those guys are good players.
Yeah.
And I think that
Yeah, they're
I think it made our team a lot better too, just playing so much against them.
yeah, I agree. Like we've played relentlessly against like Cam, Hydro Pump, Raikoko, all of those guys because I mean, we go to locals with basically all of them and we see them all the time and I mean, we definitely have them to thank because it sucked in the beginning when we got beat up by them, and we were like, man, why are these guys so good? But that was just kind of you had to kind of just roll with it and just get through it, and eventually you can just kind of start
And the
picking up
cool
on
thing
things
about
that
it,
they
yeah,
do or things they say or
And the cool thing about it too is like I love those guys to death, but like there were times where we'd be playing and I feel like they would just underestimate us, and
Hmm.
we would come out on top or whatever. Um, just by watching, like, because like you play against these guys, right? Like, yeah, you remember getting beat, but you also remember how they play, and
Yep.
like you just like you learn more from those matches than they do, obviously, because they don't really have anything to take away from it, but like we benefit a lot more by losing, I think, in those particular matchups early on. And
Right.
I also want to shout out to BBG, not just because they sponsor the Edison Club, but because I think out of you know Picante is really good at the Switch tournaments. Don't get me wrong, but I think BBG takes Time Wizard so seriously as
They
opposed
do.
to other
Yep.
shops within the area, and I think that is what is nice too, because those tournaments really help us prepare for the bigger ones, like at the Konami events.
Absolutely. Yep. I want to go over my list of shout outs here, and it's quite lengthy. So I want to give a shout out to every individual member of the Edison Club, which is Justin Morgan, Blake Bowman, Austin Wood, Austin Butcher, Cole Ayers, Michael Gammons, Madison Martin, and Chris Lee. Shouts to all of those guys because without the support that we give each other, none of us would be even halfway decent at the game. It's definitely because of those guys. They're the ones that picked us up when we were down and made us keep going. So shout outs to all of them. Justin already gave a shout out to Frazier, who has definitely been a really big part. And I know my success when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! Listening to, I don't think that there's a single video he has I haven't listened to. Shout outs to A True Hero. His Kaiba Talk videos are actually just like 30, 45 to an hour, minute long coaching sessions about how to beat a certain deck. Should definitely be watching those. And shout outs to all the rod guys that we play with. Shouts to my Lightsworn buddy times two, and he's really helped me a lot along the way. Shouts to I think the Concord guys, which is like Sasha, Cody, Yiching, Adam. Those guys are all really really cool. I'm glad to be able to call them my friends. And there's so many others out there that I could name. And just know that if you've had any kind of influence on me as a player, that I appreciate you, I acknowledge you, and yeah, it's amazing to be involved in a community like we are. And I also want to shout out Diego over at BBG as well for doing everything that he does for us as friends, as well as like the Time Wizard community as a whole, because I don't feel like it would be what it is without him.
Dude, I'm just like I want to shout out, like, this is gonna sound like maybe cheesy, but like my wife, because like I have two kids and then I have a full time job, and like she just like supports my obsession with cards. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And
that's
I'm
nice. You
like,
know what? I want to shout out my
no,
wife as well.
yeah, but like she like never gives me like any kind of trouble about going to events and everything. Always checks up on me, supports me. Like has no idea how about the game or anything. Could probably care less about the game, but like wants me to do well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
that
like,
that goes a long way,
yeah,
having that support at
it really
home as
does.
well.
And
And
like
Becky
when I
really pushes me and supports me and everything.
yeah, so like big, number one shout out to her because like every time I do well, she's the first person I message.
Yeah.
And like she has to deal with like the mailbox being full of cards every other day, and
Yeah.
like we have to eat ramen for 3 weeks straight because of all
Because of your ulties,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But like no, shout out to her, and then so it's really nice to have somebody like that in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes a long way. Okay. Well, I think that's about it. We're almost at an hour. So anything you'd like to say before we get out of here?
No, good luck to everybody. Well, this is going to be aired after, but the 3v3
Good job,
deck.
everyone at YCS Vegas. Good job. I never
Yeah.
doubted you.
Congratulations to the winner. I can't wait to see your deck list.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you all for listening. This is Mike and Justin from the Edison Club signing out until the next one.